Steve, I always appreciate, in all, like I have your book and I'll think there's always one or two pieces that I get each time, and it's those little snippets that then I can digest. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Bruce is coming up. And with an international reputation, he's presented in conferences all over North America, both in counseling and career development and creativity conferences. That one intrigues me. He continues to add to his expertise and his training and is a lifelong student, really, and now has a career and relationships coaching practice. His clients have dubbed him the happiness coach, especially from a note in one of the Christmas cards that you got from a client whose husband had been in the Afghan war that said, "Thank you for showing me how to keep the joy in my life." Bruce's talk today is on a theme called, Is Silence Golden? Self-awareness and personal growth. There may be tears, so I brought lots of Kleenex. Bruce, please.
Thank you.
Turn it on.
Am I on? You're
Yes.
on.
You're on.
It's the first week in August. I wake up in my rustic cabin on Crow Lake. It's the week after the Blue Skies Music Festival. This is an amazing event. I'll tell you more about it in a minute. I'm in my bedroom, and there's this song in my head. Can't get it out of my head. This is it. Silence is golden, but my eyes still see. Silence is golden, golden, but my eyes still see. Oh, it hurt deep inside. So please remember those lines. Silence is golden, but my eyes still see. Oh, don't it hurt deep inside. I'll come back to that later. So now we're back on the weekend. It's the August 1st weekend. Every summer for the last 38 or 40 years, the August 1st weekend has meant Blue Skies. Blue Skies Music Festival. This is an amazing festival. It's run totally by volunteers. It's the only festival in Ontario and probably in Canada and maybe in North America where the festival actually owns the land that it's on. It's set in the woods, about an hour and a half southwest of Ottawa in Frontenac County, right near Crow Lake where we rent the cottage. And in the middle of the woods is a huge field, and there's a hill, a grass-covered hill. At the top of the hill, I'm sitting with some friends that I'll tell you about in a second. And at the bottom of the hill is the main stage. And all around the field are woods, and scattered in the woods are places for workshops. So I'm sitting with Murray. Murray is this wonderful woods guy. He lives hand to mouth in the woods. And one of the things that he does is he helps create Blue Skies every year. He helps build the stage, he clears land, and he does all kinds of things. So Murray gets a special space at Blue Skies at the top of the hill, and he creates a shelter every year. He spends about a week building a shelter out of canvas and logs that he finds, and it's just amazing. And his friends come, and he loves to have his friends come and sit with him. So I'm sitting in this shelter because I've known Murray for quite a long time. He and I were in a men's group at one point, and I'm just sitting and talking, and very relaxed, and that's kind of the laid-back atmosphere. Because, well, that's the other thing I wanted to mention about Blue Skies. Blue Skies is a multi-generational event. There are little tiny ones, there are medium-sized ones, there's the teens, there's the 20s, there's the mid-aged guys, and there's people as old as me and older, and all of them are interacting. So it's a very, just an amazing kind of vibe in the place. And I'm sitting with Murray and other people, and all of a sudden, Micah jumps up, and she says, Ho'oponopono, I've got to go. And she dashes off to a workshop on Ho'oponopono. And I want to tell you about Ho'oponopono. I'm sitting there, what the heck is she talking about? So I pull out the Blue Skies program, and I look it up, and it says Ho'oponopono, Hawaiian forgiveness process. I think I should go to that. So I go down the hill and through the woods, and I get to the teepee. Teepee is one of the places where workshops are held at Blue Skies. There's about 50 people sitting in and around the teepee. The flaps of the teepee are up, so even if you're sitting outside the teepee, you can hear what's going on. And a man and a woman are describing Ho'oponopono. I'm going to invite you to join me in this process, a very simple process. The philosophy behind the process is that if we're in a conflict, or if we're facing some kind of an issue that's creating problems in our lives, between us or however, that no matter what, we've always been part of what created that problem. And so the Ho'oponopono exercise is clearing the energy so that the problem will dissipate. So there's a 4-phrase, hands up, how many people have heard of Ho'oponopono and know it? Oh, quite a few. Okay. So then I'm going to go through it for anybody who doesn't know it, and then I'm going to invite all of us to say it together. So the first statement is, I'm sorry. And what we're doing there is we're taking responsibility for our part, acceptance of that responsibility for in our own name, or perhaps in our lineage, in our ancestors' names. The second thing we say is, please forgive me. And we're saying, please, I'm asking for acceptance and understanding from the other party and engaging them in the process. Please forgive me. The third thing we say is, I thank you, recognizing that we gained something from this situation. And the third thing is we say, I love you. And we're speaking to Spirit or God or the universe and saying, I love you. So this process will help clear the energy of the negative energy that's existing in that situation. So I invite everybody to put their feet on the floor and say with me, Kevin, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
I thank you.
Thank you.
And I love you.
I love you.
So that's the essence of that workshop. The workshop ended, and I wandered back through the woods. I was in a very different mood after the workshop from that kind of funny energy that I had before the workshop. And another thing about Blue Skies is the mornings and the early afternoons, there are workshops similar to the Ho'oponopono one and many others. And as the day progresses, there's more and more music. And at 7 o'clock is when the main concert happens on the main stage. And that night, that Saturday night, Farron is performing. She's a headliner on the main stage. How many people know Farron? Just a few. Farron is an amazingly wonderful singer. She's very well known in the folk music community. I hesitate to tell you this. The Blue Skies program calls Farron the Johnny Cash of lesbian singers. She is an amazing singer, wonderful singer, warm, passionate woman. So she does her main performance at the concert Saturday night. Then it's sleep. Then Sunday morning, Farron is giving a workshop on songwriting. And I decide, that sounds interesting, I think I'll go. So I take my little orange chair, you know, everybody uses low chairs at these festivals, and I wander over to the place where the workshop is, and there's about 100 people scattered around. Farron is standing about here, let's say, and there's people all around her. So I decide to put my chair here, so I'm looking at her in profile. And Farron begins the workshop on songwriting, and she explains that the way that she writes songs is by getting in touch with vulnerable moments in her life and getting in touch with the feeling underneath those vulnerable moments. And then through those feelings, words emerge and songs come out of that process. She calls it going into deep water. She always did this. It's amazing. She's going into deep water, getting in touch with the things that were powerful in your life. And so she asks people from the audience to come up to the front, to where she's standing, and share some of their vulnerable moments. And I'm sitting in my little orange chair, and a lovely young woman jumps up, and she says, "Are you sure you want me to do this? I may cry." And I said, "Oh, that's okay." So the woman tells her story, and then another woman gets up and tells her story, and another woman, and another woman, and I'm sitting here, and there's another woman, and I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden I realize my face is covered in tears. Oh, gee, I'm kidding. And I'm just crying and crying. Somebody hands me a Kleenex, and I wipe my face up, and I'm crying, and there's more, and I can't stop. And I can't stop. And this is going on, and after a while I realize not one man has stood up to speak and tell about his vulnerability. And now I know why I'm crying. It's not because of the stories. It's because I don't want to tell my vulnerable story. And I realize nobody in this audience wants to either. No, none of the men want to either. And now I'm getting angry. I realize the Ho'oponopono exercise is still acting on me. Finally, one guy who's lying on the ground, not a bit, a few people down from me, asks a question. Sort of an ineffectual question, but I know he's feeling the same thing I'm feeling, just by the way he asks the question. And Farron asks the question. Now the anger has gotten a little stronger, and the bravery's come in. And I stick my hand up, and I say, "Farron, I want to speak." And she doesn't say. And nothing's happening. Finally I say, "Farron! Farron!" She hears me. She says, "Yes." And I say, "Farron, I want you to notice that not one man in this audience has spoken. And I want you to know that the reason that no man has spoken is because we're not allowed to. Society teaches us as men that we have to be strong and powerful, and that we can't show weakness, because what makes us attractive, especially to women, but also to other men, is that we're strong and powerful, and that we can provide for them and we can protect them. And if I show my fear or my hurt, I'm not going to look strong and powerful. But it's even worse than that, because not only do we have that prohibition, we also have the prohibition that we don't share, and we get judged for that too. So I want you to know that, and I want the people in this audience to know, and I want you guys to know. And Farron, to her great credit, she looks over at me, and she says, we're fighting the same war. And then she says, are you willing to share now? I said, no. But she says, come on up. So I go up, and I know I'm not going to talk. And I hug her. And to my amazement, the audience bursts into applause. I mean, what the hell? So I go and sit down, very moved, even I'm moved now. And it's all, by the time that happened, the workshop was almost over. And the workshop ended, and I'm folding up my little orange chair and getting ready to go. And all of a sudden, there's a whole group of people gathered around me. What the heck is going on? And there's women and one man. And one woman says, thank you for sharing. I'm having trouble with my son, and your sharing helps me. And then the other women just look at me kind of and say, thank you. And this is important. The fellow engages me in conversation, and we end up going off together. We go back to Murray's area, and we sit in some chairs, and we talk, and I tell him about the Mankind Project and other men's activities that I'm involved in. And he lived in Toronto, I live in Ottawa. And I told him there was a Mankind Project organization in Toronto and that there was a weekend coming up and so on. And we exchanged contact information. I called him and emailed him when I got back to Ottawa, in September. And, he never went. It never happened. Even though he was sharing at a very deep level at Blue Skies, I never got him to engage anymore. And so to me, that was important too. So why am I telling? I get that you get what I'm telling you, but why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this story because I invite men to be more active and more open. And because the kind of coaching I do is about that. Remember the song, silence is golden, golden, but my eyes still see. I feel the hurt inside. It's a metaphor. It's why I woke up with that song. Even if I don't own my hurt that's down in my unconscious, it's acting on me. Just like in that song, the hurt that woman is going to feel is going to come up and bite her at some time because her boyfriend's cheating on her. And the coaching I do helps people get in touch with themselves, to learn about themselves, and find the joy that the client that sent me, I want to share this with you. I mean, this is so precious to me. This is the card that the woman sent to me saying, thank you for showing me how to keep the joy in my life. She signed it. That was, and that's the essence of what I'm trying to do for people. So I'm a happiness coach, but I'm a genuine joy. I'm in search of genuine joy. And so sometimes I tell you, when people ask me, I have a rule. when you ask me how I am, when anybody asks me how I am, 75% of the time, I'm going to tell you the truth. And sometimes that may mean that I'm not in a good mood, and I'll tell you. And a lot of people have trouble with that. People here have had trouble with that.
That's why you got the moniker, the grumpy happiness.
Yeah, because I don't like mornings, you know. And so this is where you see, I'm actually a pretty happy guy. I have a good life, you know.
But 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. And the reason I do that is because being genuine is really important to achieving true joy. So that's the message I'm bringing to you. To the men, I say, find the courage to tell how you really feel. And to the women, I say, don't judge us for not being as open as you are. We don't have the same training as you do as when we were brought up. Thank you very much. So I have 2 handouts for you. Steve has taught me that this meeting is about referrals. So I said, well, how can I create something that will increase referrals? So I have here for you, each of you, as many of these as you want, gift certificates for other people. You can use one, but if you want to come and see me in my role as a career and life coach, career and relationships coach. And I encourage you to give these to your friends. So I'll ask somebody if you could, I'll just put a bunch on each table. Did I get them? No, that's on the table. And the other, pardon?
Thank you.
The other handout I have for you is information about the Ho'oponopono exercise, and the Mankind Project is designed for men. It was designed because men, the people who developed it 3 years, well, back in the middle 80s, looked around at personal development workshops, and they saw mostly women. Like here, there's mostly women. And they said, we got to create a workshop that's specifically designed for men. And that's what the Mankind Project is. However, there's a lot of women here too. And first of all, you can send your men to it, or you can encourage your men to go to it. And there's information on here about that. But there's also another community that I'm part of, which is also wonderful. It's called the Inner Journey. And it's an organization that puts on a workshop for both men and women. It's wonderful. Some of the guys who are in my Mankind Project community here in Ottawa have taken the Inner Journey and have gotten quite active in that community as well. So information on both those organizations is here. I'll just put these here because I don't want to take any more time, and people can grab a copy. Thanks very much.
So a scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, how done are you?
Oh, would you like me to? Did I do well?
Oh, let's give him some appreciation.
I'm not quite done because I told him that if I did well, I would plug his book, and I think I did. So I think I did well, frankly. You guys were great. This book is fabulous. I was getting ready for this morning, and I was feeling nervous, frankly. I thought, what can I do to calm myself down? So I bought this book from Steve a while back, and I just picked it up and I started reading it. It's fabulous because there's all these stories, relatively short pieces. In each one of them, you get a little nugget. And some of them I'd already heard because Steve uses them here. But I really recommend his book. So,
Thank you.
I am done.
How do I believe you?